It's Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder. Now, 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning on Minnesota's 92 KQRS. Relax, Dave Grohl. My God. I'm up and running right now. Paul Fletcher.
I'm ready to go.
That's what I like to hear, Ryder.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the craziest thing is that Ryder's juggling tennis balls while screaming, I'm so excited. I didn't know you had that in you.
Skills, man.
Man, it's not that it's the Foo Fighters. It's that it is the right Foo Fighters song for the moment.
Oh, yeah.
God, that just got me going. Who needs coffee?
Don't need it.
Good God almighty. I tell you what I need, though. I need to acknowledge that I'm feeling Minnesota right now. Paul Fletcher, let's get it going.
First of all, I got to acknowledge, while the Twin Cities got lucky yesterday.
Yes.
Feeling for those that got hammered in southeast Minnesota. Just wanted to say that before we get started.
Absolutely.
After a lengthy delay, the much-anticipated musical stage adaptation of Purple Rain is finally set to make its world debut this fall in downtown Minneapolis. Hennepin Arts announced yesterday the production is set to run October 16th to November 16th at the State Theater. It was supposed to start in April. Tickets go on sale May 9th, 10 a.m. Although it kicks off in mid-October, the official opening night is November 5th. Again, it was meant to debut in April, but they said in October more time was needed for creative development. So there you go.
Good luck to whoever's playing Prince.
Yeah?
The part. Whoever's going to get on stage and act like the guy is Prince. Yeah, whatever. Good luck to you.
Those theater people are pretty good.
They are pretty good,
Yeah.
but it's tough. When,
Yeah.
I still can't believe that guy pulled off playing Magic Johnson on that HBO show. There's certain people, and you think about it, you're like, how do you play that guy? Anyway, I'm excited about that. I'll probably go see the show.
Absolutely. Some Kentucky lawmakers issued a request for an extension on the May 7th Real ID deadline. This Real ID thing is not going away, is it? Citing the potential for long lines at MVD offices. The Trump administration says all states will need to comply by the May 7th deadline, so it doesn't appear there'll be any extension. Real ID is an enhanced security driver's license that will be needed in order to board any domestic air flight. Many states are seeing long lines for people waiting to the last second. It's one of those things where maybe don't procrastinate until the last second, and it won't be an issue.
There's no way to get the message across in an effective manner. We are so tuned out of official announcements. I mean, I've been seeing Real ID crap for 5 years. This is the furthest thing from my mind.
I think it's been around even longer than that.
Yeah,
that we've needed to get our crap together and get our Real ID stuff done. I'm not feeling bad for anybody who can't get on a plane.
Agreed. I did do a little quick check to double check something that you had touched on, Steve. The last time we talked about this, passports do indeed work. So if you don't get one by May 7th and you got to fly, get a passport or use your passport. Jack Black has broken a record. A Minecraft movie came out earlier this month. I think everybody's heard about it by now. And its soundtrack features a 34-second song called Steve's Lava Chicken.
Okay.
As of the May 3rd chart, it has broken a record. It is the shortest song to ever chart on the Billboard 100.
Good Lord. Okay.
A week ago, it did the same on the UK official singles chart.
Okay.
Black co-wrote a Minecraft movie, and oh, by the way, the film has now grossed $816 million globally.
That's a lot of Pilates classes for my friend Jack.
Yeah.
Should he choose to get in there?
Should he choose to accept the challenge? On Saturday night, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas presented Francis Ford Coppola with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. During this tribute, Spielberg named what he believes is the greatest American film of all time.
Caddyshack. Right?
I don't think Coppola is responsible for that one, and as he was receiving the award, I'm going to guess The Conversation with the gentleman's gentleman, Gene Hackman.
Correct. It was, but it was a Francis Ford Coppola film, he said, The Godfather.
Of course.
Not shocking. Quote, when we're young, it's our parents we want to make proud, and then it's our friends, and then it's our colleagues, and finally it's our peers. But you, sir, are peerless. I'm
not going to argue with Steven Spielberg when he says The Godfather is the greatest American film ever made, except to say, are you sure it's not Godfather 2? I'm dead serious, by the way. Those two are both
a good one. Yeah.
Absolutely unstoppable.
You are nowhere near alone on those who think 2 is better than 1.
Yep,
so.
absolutely.
That's it. That's what I got.
There are our headlines. Let's do a quick look at the world of sport. The referees apparently missed a foul against Luka Doncic in the fourth quarter. The NBA has admitted, oops, we blew it. 33 seconds left in the game. He was tripped by Jaden McDaniels, and the NBA came out and said, yeah, we missed that call. Well, quick tip to Luka Doncic. Quit bitching about every single call and missed call, every trip up and down the court, and maybe the refs will blow the whistle when you are actually tripped.
Boy who cried wolf in pink shoes.
As great an offensive player as the league has ever seen, but shut the hell up, Luka. Seriously. I love Luka Doncic, and he makes me ill. Bitching and bitching and bitching. Enough's enough. The Wild are back in business tonight. The NBA, of course, has another day to rest because, you know, it's tough in those deluxe 757s. But the hockey players are going right in. You know,
That's
48 hours, more than enough time to get back.
That's how
in
we
the
do
game. John Hines is saying, coach of the Wild, of course, saying, hey, we're in a really good spot. Feeling very good about this. Check this out. In the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs, 316 of the 348 teams who had a 3-1 lead in the series went on to win. 90% of the teams that have a 3-1 lead won the series. But when it's 2-2, it's literally 50-50. There have been 590 playoff series tied at 2 apiece.
Wow.
And 295 and 295. It's a dead even heat. If it's 2-2, it's the series is starting from scratch.
So basically what you're saying is that Saturday's game, blowing a 2-1 lead and going and losing in overtime, went from 90% to 50% to win the series now.
That's exactly. History would say it. That's exactly what it was. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Hey,
we do have one thing to feel really good about. By far, we have the better goalie play so far in the series.
Yes, that's
true.
true. Yep.
Assuming that continues, I feel pretty good about it.
Hey, whenever you're done, let me know because I got one quick nugget for you that's fun.
The Minnesota Twins are 13-16. Don't look now. They just beat Cleveland like an absolute redheaded stepchild.
Like
11-1.
Wow.
Let's see.
11-1.
11-1. Season high in hits, 8 for 14 with runners in scoring position. It seems like the Minnesota Twins remembered how to play baseball the last couple of weeks. It's coming, and as it's still not even May, April might just be seen as an aberration by June 1st. Who knows? But it looks pretty good right now.
Wow.
What's
not
your
too
nugget?
shabby.
What's your nugget, mister?
This is not Minnesota, but this is fantastic.
Let's
the
have it.
Colorado Rockies are 4-24.
Okay.
If they lose to the Atlanta Braves tonight, they will break the all-time record for worst start in MLB history going back to the 1800s.
That's impressive. Wait, hold on. What's their record?
They're 4-24. If they go 4-25, it'll be the worst 29-game start ever.
That's impressive when you consider that the Orioles were 0-21, I think, in 1988.
Yeah.
But they somehow avoided that.
The Orioles had the worst 30-game start. This would be the worst 29-game start ever. That had to be brought up because that's outstandingly terrible.
That's good. Cambridge, Minnesota. Glad to have you with us this morning. All of our friends in Cambridge. Yeah, man.
It's a good area.
It's a very nice area. Sometimes I find myself staring out over one of the many beautiful bodies of water here in Minnesota.
Yeah, we have 10,000 lakes.
At the very least, we have 10,000 lakes. And I look at and I'll sometimes, Rosemary and I have spent some time. We've gotten cabins in the woods. We love to do that. We go up north.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I like better than the calm morning, the flaccid lake, just no ripples, no waves, no nothing. I'm just sitting there at sunrise. And shortly after sunrise, cup of coffee, and I will stare at a body of water all day long. And every now and again, I think to myself, you know what this is missing? It's missing a jet-powered boat.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this setting. That's what God's country needs. Is a boat to go several hundred miles per hour.
That's what your peaceful coffee morning needs, huh?
That's what I always come up with.
Break up the flaccid lake, baby.
Look at those bald eagles soaring majestically, looking for fish. I wish I had a jet-powered boat just to go out there and. I'm sorry. Actually, that's the last thing I would ever think.
Yeah,
but I'm not. I'm not calling the shots around here. Lake Havasu, Arizona. Lake Havasu has a little something they call the Desert Storm Shootout. It was going on last Saturday, and it's basically this. You have this giant lake in Arizona, and a whole bunch of people show up with rocket-fueled boats and see who can go the fastest. Because, yes, that's what we do.
That's America.
That's damn straight it is, and it is pretty amazing. And I love watching every year, at least once, you have there was always a thing, thunder on the Ohio, and it's thunder on the Colorado. There's always thunder on these rivers or lakes. Over the weekend, a couple guys were in one of these boats. They hit 200 miles per hour.
That's pretty good. That's pretty fast.
Wow.
Literally 200 miles per hour. And right as they hit 200, a funny thing happened. The nose of the boat lifted, and then they went airborne. And I mean airborne.
No.
Flipping. The video is astonishing.
Yeah.
And, of course, there were plenty of people to film it on their phones and to talk about it afterwards.
It was about halfway, 3/4 way down the course when we saw the nose start to lift.
It actually did a complete flip and then a complete 360 and then came in backwards and upside down.
Well, as soon as the boat took off, lifted into the air, there was audible gasps. We just held our breaths and hoped for the best.
Today, they've been in great spirits, joking around, a little bit sore and banged up, but for the most part, they're happy. The boat can be fixed, so we were just glad that nobody had any major injuries.
As long as the boat can be fixed.
As long as the boat can be fixed. They being the two guys in that boat, they're happy, minor injuries. There's a video. They have like a dash cam pointing right back at the drivers. You can see these two guys sitting there very calmly, side by side, and then as it lifts, they just sort of brace. They don't do anything. They're just they basically freeze in position, like, okay, well, that's over, and somehow escape from this. I watched this video and I just think there's no way anyone's surviving. It's absolutely astounding.
Yeah, I love this, and it's very appropriate. Their speedboat driver names, because they have pseudonyms.
Snake and Mongoose.
No, John Wayne and Clint Eastwood.
Oh, even better. Wow.
That's spot on.
I remember there's an old Scottish race driver, Jackie Stewart.
Yeah.
Legendary guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was mic'd up. I was watching Wild World of Sports as a kid, and he was on a race, and he had a mic in the car. It wasn't during a race. It was a test run of some new vehicle. It was a thing. But the idea that a guy was driving on a racetrack really fast while talking live was that was revolutionary in the late 70s.
Sure. Right.
And I'll never forget watching it, and Jackie Stewart's like, that's got a good feel around the corner. Calm down, up, looks like I'm rolling it. And the car's rolling, and he's like, looks like I've lost it. Okay, we'll just come to a rest here. As it's flipping, he's just talking through it.
He narrated the entire crash.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's pretty good. We get excited now when they mic up a shortstop and he makes a great play and throws the guy out at first, which is cool.
Yes.
But it's but I saw Jackie Stewart roll a car and narrate through it.
I mean, you think about it, if any one of the three of us got into a minor fender bender, our pulse would be through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
The adrenaline would be rushing from head to toe.
Of course.
And Jackie Stewart's rolling. He's like, I think I'll be all right. I'm going to bring it to a stop right here. He's like, whatever. It's just...
He had the life, Jackie Stewart. I mean,
sure did.
It brings to mind, he was great friends with not only Georgie Best, one of the great soccer players of all time, but George Harrison of the Beatles. Very close with Jackie Stewart. That's a good bit. Georgie Best, author of the greatest quote in sports history, of course, which was, I spent millions on fast cars, fast women, and drink, and the rest I squandered.
That's a pretty good
Absolutely
quote.
Fantastic.
That's living life.
Great news for artificial intelligence enthusiasts.
Oh, great.
Your beloved AI has rendered us all completely paranoid. What if I'm not really here? What if this is just AI pretending to be me? And it's a little bit too much of an FM radio voice from the old days. Wow. Most Americans do believe that most of what we're reading is nonsense right now. We have artificial intelligence has just given us all complete paranoia about the things we come across online.
It's so freaky. Because I generally tend to believe things that I see online.
I will say, I've said for years, life is way more fun when you just believe everything you read. Yes. It just makes it way more interesting. However, there are some, I guess you'd say, real-world consequences if you do decide, it's from a reputable source, because at this stage of the game, reputable sources are few and far between.
Ever since the emails started coming from the leader of a small island in the middle of the planet,
going way back, sure.
I've been skeptical of almost everything I've ever seen.
I do remember the first time. Now Twitter 10 years ago, 12 years ago,
was fun.
I loved it. It was great. It was hilarious. It's where all the smartasses went. Can you make me laugh in less than 140 characters? And it was like. And especially when I was doing sports talk, it was the perfect place to engage and live, just watching games with thousands of people on Twitter and everyone giving each other beef. It was great.
Yeah.
And then I do remember the very first time there was a a tweet went out that I read, and then I saw a bunch of responses from all these different accounts. It was the exact same things, word for word. And I was like, ooh, that's weird. And then, I'm looking into it, and I'm like, what's a bot? I still remember, like, a bot? What does that mean? And the cork was popped, and it was all she wrote. But right now, Americans, not only are we, two things have happened. Not only do we not trust what we're reading, we're also not good at determining what's fake. So we're just assuming it's all kind of fake. A recent poll, a survey of thousands of adults is painting a pretty rough picture. The average American encounters information they know or suspect was generated by artificial intelligence at least 5 times a week. Wow. They think. But the problem is only 30% of Americans can actually determine what's AI and what's human, what is written by a person versus what is written by artificial intelligence. 3 out of 10 are guessing it right every time. That's it.
That's it? That seems real low to me, because although I do believe most of the things I encounter on the internet, and I try and still make sure they're from a decent source, I really feel like I'm good at sniffing out that AI stuff.
Where it's really getting in the way, and I've experienced this, is consumer confidence. You go to a website, you look at a product for sale, and you're reading all these amazing reviews, and you're like, wait a minute, hang on a minute. Bot-written reviews. Consumers reported companies are using bot-written reviews over half the time. That's the whether it's true or not. People assume that because you read the reviews and you go down and all these 5-star reviews, and then they'll sneak in the 4-star just so it looks a little more real. But it's pretty. Those are kind of easy to read. They haven't put all the geniuses of AI are leaving consumer reviews to those are the sort of the crumbs of AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it fools most of the people most of the time. So when you're like, is this thing really going to do what it says it does? Yeah, you just can't trust that anymore. It used to be you'd go to the reviews and feel really good about a purchase, but no, not anymore.
Yeah, it's I'm like I said, I'm skeptical of just about everything I see. If there's ever a product online that I see, say on Instagram, that hops into my feed and it actually grabs my attention, I go, oh, this is interesting. This is kind of cool. I could use this. I'm like Googling over and over again just to see if the company's even real. If I'm ever, if I send my money, am I actually ever going to see the product that I ordered?
Right.
And then if I get it, is it going to be worth a crap?
Yeah, of course. It's a difficult place we've all found ourselves. Thanks, Silicon Valley.
You know what?
Thanks, all you dorks who didn't know how to talk to girls.
You know what we might do though? A good way to combat this, perhaps, would be just like maybe shop in stores that are near your house in person.
Hey, now. That's crazy talk.
Leave my couch?
What are you talking about? What
I know you have to put on pants.
Yes.
What, are you going to take a covered wagon down to the depot? What the hell's wrong with
It could come to that. Give us time.
God.
It could come to that.
I have used AI never. I've yet to
Are you
use.
sure?
I've not. As far as I know, like
Right.
I've never got. I don't have a ChatGPT account.
Yeah.
I haven't. I saw, and this is how I know I haven't done it, even accidentally, because I watched someone do it over the weekend, and I was like, oh, that's how that works. I was blown away. My buddy John had an account, and he said, send me a picture of your family. So I found a picture of me and Rosemary and the kids, and then 2 minutes later, he texted it back, and we looked like Muppets. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a Luddite for real, but I'm kind of a Luddite. Like the AI thing, I've been reading about it for years, ChatGPT. I mean, my kid's 25. When he was in high school, it was already sort of making the rounds. But
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who's like, I'm flying blind for as long as I can go. I didn't get email till 2000, so
I just think you look really
tend to
funny
wait.
as a Muppet is all that's running through my brain right now.
Well, it wasn't a Muppet. Sorry, it was puppets. It was even worse.
Okay.
It was
Good. Yeah.
really weird.
I've done the AI make you look like Disney characters, me and the family. That's
Okay,
it. That's
sure.
it. So similar, but that's all I've ever got. Like proactively used
Yeah.
on my own. Yeah.
Well, people send me things on social media. Someone on Twitter sent me a picture of my former band and I, and we look like Simpsons characters. And I just
That's
looked
pretty
at
cool.
it like, but I was like, who
been
knows
an
how to
album
do
cover.
that? It didn't occur to me. They just entered some stuff into a laptop, and 2 seconds later,
Boom.
they had it kicked back out. But in case you're wondering why we use AI, Americans use it. Well, the main things. Well, this is the one I like to translate text into another language. I've been doing that. I have the Translate app.
Sure.
Just because, I don't know, sometimes I just like to answer somebody in French, and not to act like I know French, but just to confuse them. I just think it's funny. You know, why not? Or Dutch or whatever. I don't just occasionally. And it's amazing how often if you're in the middle of a text exchange and you just throw one answer back in another language, they just keep going. They don't even stop and go, because I assume they're putting that in their app to see what you just said, and they just keep it going. That to me is like, oh my God, the internet's amazing. So people do that. But here's the main thing. Looking up the answers to a question, people say they've used AI for that. But is that really? But AI is also just, you know, taking in from a bunch of sources
of what's on the internet.
Right.
So, like, if you put something in Google, like the Gemini will pop back with kind of a synopsis of the billions of pieces of information from the internet.
I've started to see that, and the last time I updated my laptop, all of a sudden I look at an email, and before I've opened it, I see a synopsis of what the email says.
Yes.
That just creeps me out, man. It's like, I know my emails weren't actually private before, but now you're flexing it, AI. Yes, we're reading your emails, Steve. We know what people are writing to you. But the second most use of AI, which I think is actually the first, people say number 2 on the list is just to amuse myself. No, that's what we're doing it. We just don't want to admit it.
That's what Fletcher is doing with the Disney characters in the family and you and the Muppets. Yeah, that's what's happening.
That's the whole point. We take this tool. It's like we've said for years. We have in our pocket, in a smartphone, all the information available to us that humanity has ever coagulated.
Sure.
And we stare at photos of cats. That's what we do.
Why wouldn't we use it for that is really the question.
That's a very good point. You can find the Gorman in the Morning podcast anywhere you listen, anytime you want, sponsored by Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Ooh, Devani's. Sounds pretty good to me.
Gorman in the Morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the Morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning with Fletcher and Ryder on Minnesota's 92 KQRS. Modern English, I Melt With You. Were we ever so young? Oh,
no.
Oh, it tugs the heartstrings. I can't hear it and not get a little freaked out. Back in the day, wore that 45 out. But that's a story for another time. Right now, I'm feeling Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, which means I need to know what's happening in the world. Paul Fletcher.
Hey,
what is happening in the world?
I'll tell you what, U.S. Senator Tina Smith is retiring, and so U.S. Rep. Angie Craig has announced this morning that she's running for Minnesota's open U.S. Senate seat. Pretty rare. They call it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in this business. Craig is expected to be one of the most prominent and well-funded candidates.
I am announcing that I'm suspending my senatorial run.
Noted.
Oh,
yep.
All right. Well, could you have AI Steve run for...
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I'll try it.
We'll talk to AI Steve and see if
We'll do it.
Yeah. There are supposed to be measures in place to prevent this kind of a thing from happening, but the Navy says a $60 million F-18 Super Hornet fighter was lost at sea. They essentially dropped it. They dropped it after it fell overboard from an aircraft carrier. Apparently, it was under tow in the hangar bay of the USS Harry S. Truman when the aircraft rolled off the carrier and sank below the waves, and it was after the carrier made a hard turn.
I was so shook. I was beyond shook.
I would think there's a midshipman or two that might want to get a talking to.
There was one that suffered a minor injury, and investigations underway, and this happened in the Red Sea, just for context.
I don't know. I think, you know what? I think it's a plant. I think it was a vacuum packed. It's watertight, and there's someone in there. It's like a James Bond thing. They're going to say the plane went over. There's actually a guy. Yes. He's going to come bust out in scuba gear. He's going to swim ashore. I'll finish the story in the 9 o'clock hour.
That sounds like a good plan, other than the $60 million plane that went bye-bye. A new survey that asked the question, and only 30% of Gen Zers believe their generation drives more safely than others. That was the... sorry, I just totally skipped a part there. If you had to guess which generation was the worst driver, that's the part I left out.
Okay.
A new survey...
We didn't have to guess, man.
Yeah,
we already know.
Okay, very good. I don't know how I just completely skipped the most important part there. Anyway, that survey was asked. Only 30% of Gen Zers believe their generation drives more safely than others. That was the lowest percentage of any group, but at least they're honest, right?
Self-awareness.
43.
These kids are on top of it.
43% of millennials think their generation has the safest drivers. 60% of Gen Xers and 63% of boomers.
It's absolutely Gen Xers. Boomers used to be, but then they're aging.
Yeah, they've aged out. They've aged out of great driving.
They're getting distracted.
By what? AI.
Yeah, but by all kinds of, like, oh, damn it, I hate that Wendy's billboard. They're shaking their fists at the clouds.
Yeah.
These things
For
happen.
sure.
That's what I got.
Plymouth, Minnesota. Glad to have you with us this morning.
Hi, Plymouth.
Plymouth, or as I prefer to call it, Plymouth, because I just say things like that sometimes. That's just me.
I say Plymouth almost every day when I drive by it.
Do you
For
really?
real. Yeah, it's funny.
There you have it. All right, Plymouth.
Plymouth.
Glad to have you with us, Plymouth.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
Don't come around here no more. I met Tom Petty a few times, and every time I met him, I had the same experience, which is, hey, man, how's it going? Hey, man, how you doing? Cool. And then we would chat, and then I'd go, God, what a nice guy. He doesn't give a rat's ass that he's Tom Petty. He's just a guy in a room, and I'm a dude in a room, and we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
He was always that way. And
That's
the first,
cool to hear.
Yeah, walked off stage. He came to see the Black Crowes in 1991. Walk off stage before the set's over. Thank you. Walk off, and he's just standing there with our monitor guy. And as I'm walking past on my way to the dressing room, I'm like, hey, that was Tom Petty. Like, just a weird, like, wow, what the hell? And yeah,
from Gainesville.
Just couldn't have been a better dude. It was always it's always nice when you meet somebody and you're like, what a great guy. And you, the other day, correct me if I'm wrong, you met Kit Harrington from Game of Thrones.
Close.
Somebody like that. What was it?
Joe Keery from Stranger Things.
Okay, why do I have
plays
to...
Steve Harrington.
Oh, he plays
Steve
Steve
Harrington.
Yeah.
Here I've
Steve
been
the
thinking,
Hair Harrington.
this whole time I thought you met Jon Snow. So who is this?
His name's Joe Keery.
Okay.
He's got a band called Joe, D-J-O.
Okay, D-J-O.
Yeah, Joe.
Got
they're
it.
from Chicago, and it's you could clearly tell at the Palace Theater that these guys, they've got 3 albums. But you think, actor that's doing music, you kind of have a tendency, I don't know about you, I have a tendency to roll my eyes. At an actor doing music?
This was a super dad show. You skipped out on the hockey game to bring the kid, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to make it about me, but yes, we got to the first period of Game 4 on Saturday.
Right.
And then we had to leave because we had an opportunity to have a meet and greet with Joe Keery,
good on you.
who is widely known in the household as my oldest daughter's boyfriend. That's what we call him.
So a dude who's on Stranger Things
Has a band.
also plays music and has a band, and so you took your daughter to see him because you had a meet and greet.
Yeah.
So that is very much super dad action. Not only that, you left a playoff game to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Wow.
here's the other thing too. It wasn't your typical like sitting at a table cattle call meet and greet. It was just us, the 2 of us, manager guy and Joe. And so they let us
Very
in the back
nice.
door of the Palace Theater, and he couldn't have been kinder. Like, keep in mind the throne with which my daughter puts him on.
Sure.
We walk in the door. He's sitting down with his legs crossed in a sweater and a dock hat, like if you the blue poncho that you'd wear if you were working on a dock out on the East Coast.
Yeah.
He's got that on. He stands up, puts the guitar down, sticks out his hand, introduces himself to my daughter first.
Right.
And then proceeds to show her how all the lights work, introducing her to all the guys in the band.
Good stuff.
And just couldn't have been, like, kind is the right word.
Yeah.
Super humble,
Yeah.
down to earth, but just very kind and
Steve
considerate of
Harrington
other people.
Knows the lighting setup?
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
whole bit. Yeah. It's just, it's not a huge show, and it's like it felt like a pretty small time operation as far as the 10 people, whatever.
Now, did he have this band? Was he doing this before he was on Stranger Things, or did it come in the aftermath?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It could be similar-ish because like I said, they've got 3 records. I don't know when the first one was done. It may have come at the very beginning, but he certainly wasn't a big deal yet. If it did time out at the same time.
I like you said, you roll your eyes when you see an actor or an actress is doing music. I do the same thing, even though sometimes you recognize like, oh well, they it's like, oh, they were doing that, but then they got a gig and and they were offered a part in a show, and why wouldn't they do it? And then they like Russell Crowe was in a band for years. I mean, and Johnny Depp went to
Kevin
LA to
Bacon.
be a musician. There's a lot of guys who go, they think that's what they're going to do, but then someone looks at them and goes, hey, read this line. Hey, you're hired. And then what are you supposed to do? Say no?
Yeah,
So
Jared Leto, I think, is another one. He went to LA to be in a band.
But he is the exception. That band's terrible. I got no respect. I can't stand that crap. Played a festival in Spain with that 5 Seconds to Mars crap. They all show up in their separate Mercedes limos and walk to the. It was all just
Oh,
like
that's
it was.
lame.
It was so Hollywood.
So
and
we
were just like, Dude, you're what?
I saw 30 Seconds to Mars on their very first tour. I think their first record is outstanding. And the first show I saw was in a tiny little club in Omaha called the Ranch Bowl. It was awesome. It was like a maybe 500 cap room off of a bowling alley.
Yeah.
In fact, Jared Leto played the last note of the song, jumped off the stage, ran to lane 3 and bowled a strike. It was pretty outstanding.
That's pretty good.
And then after that, saw them again with the Killers. And it all went downhill. It all became about Jared up on stage.
We're at a festival, and it's us. Soul Asylum was there. The Zombies were there. Smashing Pumpkins. A bunch of everyone's backstage. You're just hanging. All the bands. You're all getting to know each other, saying hi, whatever. And it's just a great hang. And then all of a sudden they show up, and it was like they just the stars finally arrived. I mean, their entire assemblage of people and the way they walked through, and everybody were just laughing like, what are you talking about? And it was funny because we're all sitting there backstage going, no one here has ever heard one of your songs, and you're acting like you are God's gift to Spain, which, I mean, they did have a lot of people there who seemed to like them, but I don't know, it's just really silly to me. It's like, talk about reading the room wrong.
It's, I'll tell you what, my take on this is, again, first record was great. First tour I saw was amazing. Everything I've seen since then is just, the best word for it is obnoxious. You know what I mean? Feather boas and no records sold. That's
a pleasant celeb encounter. Ryder, you've been in this business a long time. You've met your share of stuck-up Rockstar douchebags, I would imagine. Anybody surprise you with being supremely human and pleasant?
Right, and I haven't got to meet a ton of people, but I do get this question a lot, and then the answer is always Fred Durst.
Really?
I've heard that.
Yes.
I've heard that.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Fred Durst. I really didn't want to do this meet and greet with. It was going to be me and a couple listeners. My boss blew it off on me because he didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Went out and had lunch with Fred Durst and like two women who absolutely adored Rat and just wanted to hear Stephen Piercy stories. He 100% obliged.
Wow.
He's like, I got good Stephen Piercy. And it just talked to them about that for a solid, and like, ate his ham sandwich and talked to them for like 45 minutes.
Wow, I've never heard the words, I got good Stephen Piercy stories come out of anyone's mouth before. That's amazing.
I love that about Fred Durst. I've heard that too. I've never crossed paths.
Yeah. Jimmy just texted, Jared Leto. Leto or Leto?
Leto.
He was in Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
That's him, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that movie's pretty intense. I'll give him credit for that one. Nice performance, kid.
He's had a couple of performances that are decent,
to the movies.
But he's brutal otherwise.
651-989-ROCK. That's the talk and text line. Let us know your unexpectedly pleasant celebrity encounters. We all got them. Let's have them. What do you say? I believe Michael in Bloomington's got a story to share with us. Michael, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. What do you got for us?
I got 1997. I'm in the Marines. I'm over in Tokyo, Japan. It's a Thanksgiving long weekend, and we're up from Iwakuni Star Squadron. And we're up in the Gas Panic Lounge in the Roppongi district, me and one other young Marine, up on the 13th floor. And in walks Rob Thomas in his big brown bear fur skin coat.
Okay.
And he walks right up to us and says, "Hey, I'm Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20, 97. We're like, "Yeah, so? We don't know yet." And then... he guys, "Oh, no, we're like number 3 on the Billboard right now." And we're like, "Yeah, so? Don't know you."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Okay, when you go back to Iwakuni, look up my CD." We did. And it was like, the 3 a.m. soundtrack, whatever. He was great. Anyway, the warm story was he bought us around a $9 Coronas and hung out and talked with us for a while, and it was really cool. So
there you go.
That was my warm, fuzzy story.
That is warm and fuzzy, and anytime anyone mentions the Roppongi district, I get a good warm and happy feeling inside as well. Thank you for that, brother. Much obliged. Christine texted in, Steve, met your guy Robert Smith in a bar when he first started with the Vikings. He said, "I hear you like Robert Smith. I like The Cure too." He got that his whole life. The Cure, we had a Goldschlager shot together. Super nice dude.
Goldschlager.
I've seen him in places where Vikings fans approach him, and they're just like, and he is the nicest guy in the world. Would always put them right at ease.
Oh, good to hear.
Oh, yeah, no, he was absolutely the best.
That's awesome.
The question I get all the time, who's the coolest guy in the Star and all the stuff?
Yeah.
And there's no close second place. Robert Plant. Greatest dude
really?
ever.
Okay.
Yeah. First album tour, we went out and opened for Aerosmith, and they were fine. but they were aggressively crazy sober in 1990, and they were surrounded by people who insisted they stay sober, and they were very controlled. And I'm not putting. They would say the same thing, and they have many times since. Not a fun hang in 1990 with Aerosmith. But it was fine. They weren't like jerks to us. They did try to fire us after one show, but we got over it. Then we went out and did a few weeks with Heart, and they were lovely. But it was like that was poppy Heart. It wasn't rock Heart. Third big tour we get is Robert Plant, and we're kind of thinking he's just going to show up and say hi. We'll never even see him.
Right.
The exact opposite. First night of the tour. We're 10 minutes away from going on stage. We're at Red Rocks. Never been to Red Rocks before.
Oh,
now we're playing it, and it's like, oh my god!
And you're opening for him,
and we're literally having the conversation. I wonder if we're even gonna get to meet him. Door opens, boom. Hello, boys. He walks in. So happy to have you here. Love the record. I love that there's a proper band. And then it was the start of a 6-week, just the most awesome, every day, nights off on tour. We'd get together with him. We'd go out and hang. He was the best.
Okay, so I have a question. If the average Joe runs into Robert Plant out on the street somewhere, are they going to get the same warm reception?
No, I mean, they won't get the whole, tell me about your record.
Right.
No, yeah, absolutely. I've seen He has, as one of the guys that worked for him said, and he was kind of rolling his eyes when he said it. He goes, "God, man of the people, all right already." He's got time for everybody. No,
that's awesome.
He has spent 40 plus years trying to demystify the golden god that he was in Led Zeppelin.
Right.
I mean, he goes out of his way to he's got no time for that nonsense. So
I love that.
Always cool.
It's not even about pedestalizing these people. It's just when you.
What was that word?
Pedestalizing?
Is that a word?
I don't know. I just made it up.
I like that. Pedestalizing. That's pretty strong.
It's not about putting these people on a pedestal. Is that better?
Yeah. The pedestalizers. Always need a band name.
There you go. We're out there. We're onto something there. But at the same time, when you spend so much emotion and time investing in these people, whether it's an athlete or a musician or an actor, whatever, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to get all mushy, but it warms your heart when they're actually a decent, and I'm not even talking cordial. I'm talking when they go above and beyond to be kind human beings, because that's what we all are ultimately, is just human beings, right? When they go out of their way to be decent, I don't know how you don't get a good feeling from that.
That's very true. Michelle texted in, Jesse James Dupree from Jackal was incredibly kind and cordial when I asked him to sign my copy of a Playgirl magazine where he was the centerfold.
Wow.
That was 7 years ago. The man was in Playgirl, and he made a living slinging a chainsaw around on stage. Of course, he's in a good mood.
That's a good life.
Called he won the life lottery, so he figured it out early. Just keep the 6-pack abs and rock a chainsaw, and let the rest of it take care of itself.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the morning. Minnesota's 92 KQRS. For the second time today, I'm about to say the words John Stamos. I can't believe that. Stamos.
What's wrong with Uncle Jesse?
You said it again.
He's just that guy. He's from Uncle Jesse from Full House. What was he on before? What would he do before Full House? I mean, clearly he was already. Was that where it started? I don't know.
I mean, that's where he really broke into pop culture and stuff. Like, he may have had bit parts on other shows.
Okay.
I'm sure General Hospital and that kind of crap.
Somebody out there is screaming oh my God, he was waiter number 3 in some movie.
Scream that text into your phone, 651-989-ROCK.
He went to John F. Kennedy High School. Not the one in Bloomington, though. It was in Orange County.
Yeah, he did start. Blackie Parrish was his character on General Hospital. Good call, right there.
That's right. Yep.
Really?
But I've seen him.
Yeah.
And I've seen him over the years. Oddly enough, sitting at the drum kit. He's always on stage with the Beach Boys, and apparently a few other people as well, either as a percussionist or as the guy sitting at the kit. But then, as you just referenced, Fletcher, recently. I guess the world got a chance to see him do something I would say is probably unexpected.
He recently sat down on his drum stool for the latest edition of Drumios for the First Time series. This is a series where they have drummers. I've seen Chad Smith and the Chili Peppers do this. They had him play Last Resort by Papa Roach, which he'd never heard before. Even wondered at one point if it was Ozzy.
So Drumeo, this is for people that don't follow. Drummers, Drumeo is a drummers collective universe online.
Okay.
And the idea is for this particular thing, so you say they sit a drummer down and he puts on headphones at a drum kit and they play a song the drummer's never heard before. and say, go ahead, play. What would you put in place of the drums that are there? Okay. Just to see, or are they, how quickly can you learn the song? Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you don't know where the song's going. So when you watch these videos, the drummer will, as you just heard, stop sometimes to go, wait, what the hell am I listening to?
Yes.
And then he jumps right back in. I like him coming back in at halftime. I'll tell you this. Honestly, I preferred his entire approach. The original, which I've never heard that song either.
Really?
Just the it sounds like a squirrel on the drum kit. Stamos comes in and he's trying to actually put a little backbeat on it.
Okay, so here's my question. This is the first thing that popped into my head that I wanted to ask you. How hard is that to do as a drummer, to just sit down and just play when you've never heard something? Is it one of those things where, because I marvel at watching these videos like this, but is it something that when you're on the inside, you're kind of like, yeah, it's not that difficult?
It's just, well, to me, it would be really hard. If you put on like a speed metal song I've never heard, a type of music I don't play or listen to, it's kind of impossible because I just don't even know what's called for in that genre of music. Like, you go put on a Lamb of God song, I'm just going to look at you and go, I'm sorry, what? Is this a buzzsaw? But if it's a general, pop / rock and roll kind of song, a little harder maybe, I can, real drummers can fake their way through anything.
Okay.
I can fake my way through a jazz song, and I know it's not real jazz, but the average person on the street doesn't.
Right.
But for something like that, if I heard that song, I put it this way. If you asked me to do that exact same thing, it would have been way closer to what Stamos was doing than what the actual guy was doing.
Gotcha.
That's just how I would have approached it.
How do we get you on this for the first time series? I'm going to start blowing them up on Instagram.
I don't think it would be that tough. I just have no interest in doing it.
No, we need you to do it for the show. Do it for the show.
James Taylor is coming to town. We got tickets we're going to give away. But first things first. We're going to play a little game amongst ourselves, and then we'll allow a listener to call in or two. Wisconsin, Texas, Florida. WTF!
Oh, yeah.
Is how we prefer to roll with this.
It's Steve's edition this week, so he picked these ones out. Fletcher and I will be guessing. Listen and let us know what the answers are.
So we're going to hear some clips from some news stories. You got to tell us which state did this come from, and we'll just get right to it. Enjoy, please.
Okay.
This morning, a postal worker is facing charges for allegedly being drunk on the job. So this happened in investigators say 33-year-old Caitlin Dye was reportedly driving while impaired. While making those mail deliveries, an eyewitness says she caught the whole thing on dash camera. Take a look at this video. She says the mail truck was driving on the wrong side of the road and even veered off the road at certain points.
She proceeded to drive in zigzags all the way down the road until she got to the stop sign, where she proceeded to kick a Solo cup out of the side of the mail truck. My son was in the car and she almost hit us.
Police say this happened on Saturday, April 12th. An arrest report also says she told the officer she was invited to a party on her mailing route and drank 2 vodkas, she told them. Dye has since been bonded out of jail on a misdemeanor DUI charge.
Partying with the mailman.
The mail carrier shows up to deliver the mail and then sees a party going on and says, it's the middle of a shift. Why not?
Working on a Saturday, too, might I note. And I'm the daughter of a retired postal worker. That was probably her 6th day of work. So,
Yeah,
This is a greater offense because you're a federal employee, yeah?
I don't know how that works, man. It's just... all I know is this. I made damn sure to have a job for years where drinking on the job was perfectly acceptable.
Well done.
I don't know what the hell everyone else was thinking.
In the news story, did they recreate the Solo cup falling out of the vehicle?
I love the sound effect. It's great.
That was interesting.
All right, so there's one. That is either Florida, Wisconsin, or Texas. Texas, Wisconsin, Florida, or Wisconsin, Texas, Florida, whichever order you want to go in. WTF. Let's hear another one. I like this one. The fair's coming up. We'll all be excited about the Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah, buddy.
But, a lot of states have fairs.
New on 12, a vendor working at State Fairgrounds accused of putting super glue in his coworker's soda is headed to trial.
34-year-old Joseph Ross made that not guilty plea inside this court this morning. In March, the County District Attorney's Office charged Joseph Ross with placing foreign objects in edibles. A criminal complaint says a woman told State Fair Park Police the drinks on her desk had a, quote, strong chemical smell and taste, and after she drank them, she would get sick. The woman told police she set up a camera on her desk and caught her coworker, Joseph Ross, putting something in her drink. According to the criminal complaint, police searched Ross's office and found super glue. This morning, Ross pleaded not guilty. 12 News asked him and his attorney about the plea and the woman's video. The woman got you on camera, though. With Ross waiving his right to a preliminary hearing and pleading not guilty this morning, he is expected to go to trial. In Zoe Henry, 12 News.
I like how she set up the sting.
Yeah, I like that. Getting the camera on her own.
In hockey, Marcus Foligno's a glue guy. That's a guy that keeps the locker room together.
Sure.
It's a good version of a glue guy. I don't think this is the kind of glue guy you want to be.
I wouldn't have put crazy glue in a drink if I didn't love her. All right, we got one more. Now we're going deep down the darkest roads. This is getting a little morbid here. Check this out.
Oh boy.
And we start with developing news tonight. And mortuary worker accused of experiments on corpses finds herself behind bars.
The suspect, Adeline Non-Bin Bowie, faces charges of corpse abuse and tampering with government documents. KXAN's Brianna Hollis went through court records on the case.
According to these court documents, the suspect, who police say worked here at Capitol Mortuary Services, confirmed she used the limbs of corpses to study the effects of embalming fluid with and without formaldehyde. PD's investigation also uncovered she may have forged nearly 130 death certificates.
A complaint from a former employee here to the Funeral Services Commission sparked this investigation. He told investigators Bowie fraudulently used his name to complete and amend death certificates and that he was aware she was running, quote, experiments on corpses' limbs. Bowie told police, according to her affidavit, that she guessed she experimented with about 15 bodies.
Bowie's attorney says this case is complex and all of the pertinent details aren't yet apparent. According to online court records, Bowie is currently out on bond. Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
I don't think the case is complex. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
There's a freak at the mortuary.
They let her out, too?
It puts the lotion in the basket.
No kidding.
Or it gets the hose again.
All right, we're gonna discuss which state do we think these are from.
Man,
but
I'm so baffled right now.
this is a pretty good little list right here. But
solid work.
But let's see if we can find somebody who can do the heavy lifting for us. 651-989-ROCK. We've played 3 clips of bizarre news stories, and we've got a caller who has cracked the code. We've got a man who knows of what he speaks. Tom from Roseville. Tom, good morning, sir.
Good morning, gang.
All right, Tom. I'm gonna set these clips up again, and then we'll see what Ryder thinks. We'll see what Paul thinks, and then we'll have you give us the correct answers. Okay, the first story we played, it was about the postal worker who was arrested on DUI charges. She was delivering mail on a Saturday, showed up at a house where a party was in full swing. They invited her in, and she said, sure, I'll have a few.
Yeah.
And then drove off, weaving drunkenly afterwards. Ryder, where do you imagine this happened?
This seems like a very hospitable place, real friendly. I like that. I'm going to say Wisconsin for this one.
Okay. Fletcher, what are your thoughts?
This seems a little wackadoo to me, and it could only happen in Florida.
Tom from Roseville, what's the answer?
Paula is correct. It's the Sunshine State of Florida.
Damn straight.
There you go. All right.
Wow, I totally guessed on that.
No, that's perfect. All right, the second story. A worker at the state fairgrounds was caught on video putting super glue in his coworker's pop, his soda, her Coke. What do you think, Ryder?
All right. I am going to go with Texas on this one. It just seems too crafty to be Florida. The coworker setting up the camera and all that kind of stuff.
Too crafty for Florida.
Yes.
Fletcher?
Texas has a very world-renowned state fair.
They certainly do.
It is, it's above behavior like this. So I'm going to say Wisconsin.
Wow. All right, lay it on us, Tom.
Paul's on a hot streak. We're going with Paul all the way for the win.
There you go. That's right. Was that old Scotty over there,
buddy,
dipping the super glue into a coworker's Coke. All right. So finally, the police arrest a mortuary worker for experimenting on corpses. We're just gonna let the we know the answer
Florida
now
on this one just because it was the king of all weirdness.
That's right.
Let me down, Florida.
Not Texas, to be the case.
Texas has a thing with corpses, though. They like their corpses in Texas.
There's
what? How do you know that?
I don't know. Too many documentaries, probably. That'd be my best guess.
We all know the answer, Tom, but lay it on us anyway.
Definitely the Lone Star State. Paul all the way.
Damn straight. Tom, well done, brother. You just picked up some James Taylor tickets. Sweet baby James. All right. I believe first artist signed to the Beatles' Apple record label. James Taylor. Yeah.
Good little fun fact.
If memory serves, that is a fact. That's a good game. Well done, Tom. Congratulations. You'll enjoy the show. The 2025 Tee It Up Golf Cart number 3, presented by Club Champion, is on sale now. This is how it works. You golf 7 area courses and save over $200 while doing it.
Not bad.
For more information, to go ahead and make that purchase, text the word golf, GOLF, to 651-989-ROCK. I'm feeling Minnesota, baby. Give me some headlines.
After a lengthy delay, the much-anticipated musical stage adaptation of Purple Rain is finally set to make its worldwide debut.
Nice.
This fall right here in downtown Minneapolis. They say, the word on the streets is this thing will make its way to Broadway, but it's starting here in Minneapolis, which is, I think, fitting. It's the way it should be. Hennepin Arts announced yesterday the production is set to run October 16th through November 16th at the State Theater. Tickets go on sale, by the way, May 9th, 10 a.m. And although it kicks off in mid-October, the official opening night is set for November 5th. The production was originally slated to debut in April, but they said in October, quote, more time was needed for creative development.
It's not a straight path to Broadway, baby. Nothing's guaranteed in this life. It makes me think of the old joke. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice, baby.
There's not a roadmap, is there? Son of a bee sting. There are supposed to be measures in place to prevent stuff like this from happening, but the Navy says a $60 million F-18 Super Hornet fighter has been lost at sea. It fell overboard.
No.
Seriously, it fell overboard? Apparently it was under tow in the hangar bay of the USS Harry S. Truman when the aircraft rolled off the carrier and sank below the waves after the carrier made a hard turn. Aren't they talking like, hey, we're going to pull a Yui.
Yeah.
Can you make sure you secure any, $60 million planes we have on board?
Hey, dude, put that wood block under that front tire. Hold it in place.
Unbelievable. All crew members are accounted for. 1 minor injury. Investigation underway. It's unbelievable. Jack Black has broken a record, my friends. Minecraft movie came out earlier this month, by the way. $816 million that thing has done worldwide. Not bad.
I wonder what the budget was, because they've clearly well exceeded that. I mean,
I would imagine that they have.
If you're making $816 million at the box office, you have well gone by
$150 million.
Oh, well, so they're
very much in the black.
$650 million into the black.
Yeah.
And I got to think, speaking of the black, that Jack Black has a piece of that back end. He's doing just fine.
He co-wrote it. So, yeah, he's probably hitting a major home run. Anyway, the soundtrack features a 34-second song called Steve's Lava Chicken. I've only heard that song sung in my household about 160,000 bajillion times.
Okay.
If that's a number.
Yep.
As of May 3rd, this is why the song is significant. As of May 3rd's chart, that has become the shortest song to ever chart on the Billboard Hot 100.
Wow.
Shortest, like, time-wise?
Man, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, the shortest song. Yeah, like it's 34 seconds. It's the shortest song to ever chart. I'm starting to wonder if maybe we're just lost.
Who says we're losing our ability to stay focused on anything for more than 34 seconds? Our attention spans are just as strong as they ever were. Oh, my God. I'm interpreting this as a sign of the pending apocalypse.
That's why, that's what I was about to ask, is if we're all doomed from here. This is interesting. I've got some Back to the Future no news whatsoever. Bob Gale, co-writer of Back to the Future, has ruled out any sequels, prequels, or spin-offs for the franchise. Asked at Universal Fan Fest nights on Friday about more movies, he said, quote, "It's just fine the way it is. It's not perfect, but as the director, Bob Zemeckis, used to say, it's perfect enough." So basically, there's no news. I'm bringing it up because I love the fact that he's like, you know what? Yeah, we don't need to grab any more cash. I love it the way it is. We're just going to leave it the way it is.
Let it be. If it was good enough at the time, it's good enough. And by the way, listen, you know why Led Zeppelin's legacy is still so perfect? Because they never came back.
Yeah.
They let it go. They didn't say, you know what, screw it. Let's just get another drummer. No, it's like if they had been touring in the 90s or 80s and 90s with another guy, it just would have been different. Sometimes it's best to just let things lie as they are. So that's my first time ever where I compared Led Zeppelin to Back to the Future. And let's hope I never have to do it again.
Yeah, and I think, he's right. That thing's Back to the Future is nearly perfect. That film is fantastic. It's so fun.
I would call it a movie, but that's okay. You can call it a film if you want.
Whatever. It's a really good movie. How about that?
It is. It is a good movie.
On Saturday, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas presented Francis Ford Coppola with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. During his tribute, Spielberg named what he believes is the greatest American film of all time. They were honoring Francis Ford Coppola. It's obviously one of his. He said, The Godfather.
The first time I saw the Godfather 1, the scene where Connie and her husband Carlo have a fight and he's knocking her around. It's a very horrible scene. I walked in on my parents watching it and I thought it was Rhoda. I thought they were watching the show Rhoda with like Joe and I just
Mary
looked up.
Tyler Moore spinoff?
Yes, the spinoff show. Valerie Harper and David Groh, I believe, was the actor. Wow. And I remember thinking, like, God, this is a dark episode of Rhoda. And I was so relieved that it was just The Godfather 1. I felt bad for Rhoda in that one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
These things happen.
That's what I've got.
Here's some good sports information for you. The Timberwolves can do it tomorrow night in Los Angeles, and by it, I mean they can break a bizarre streak where teams from the Twin Cities really struggle against teams from Southern California. The Wild, Wolves, Twins, and Vikings have been eliminated 6 straight times combined between them when playing LA teams in the last 23 years in the postseason.
Are you kidding me?
6 straight times. In 2002, 3, and 4, the Angels, Ducks, and Lakers beat the Twins, Wild, and Wolves in conference championships. Just a few months ago, the Rams ended the Vikings' wonderful season. So we're struggling. It's the curse of the Lakers' relocation, apparently. Our success.
Maybe that's it.
It's time to put that thing to bed. It's time to put the Lakers to bed, for crying out loud. So tomorrow night, a big game.
Put them out behind they're wearing yellow, too. Old Yeller. Put them out behind the woodshed, baby.
Tonight, very nicely done. Tonight is a much bigger deal as the Minnesota Wild in Las Vegas will attempt to get their leg up in the series. It's 2 games apiece. This will be a big determining factor on the series. Historically speaking, when an NHL series in the playoffs is 2-2, it is a literal coin toss. 50% of the teams, 50% from that moment on. The home team or away does not matter. It is exactly 50%. So it's anybody's series. It's a 3-game series. If it goes to the left, if we go to 7, 2 of those sadly are in Vegas. So get it done tonight, guys. Bring it home and let's put the Knights to bed for good.
Well, tonight is in Vegas. Yeah. The Wild have been good on the road. Every fiber of my Minnesota makeup wants to not believe. But there's just something in the back of me that says they're going to figure this out.
Oh, no, they got it. They're gonna take care of business.
Oh, yeah. So we don't even need to watch. You already know.
Yes, decapitate those Knights. Let's go.
I like it.
Taking them down in 6. The Minnesota Twins are 13-16. Who saw that coming? Not me.
No.
But they've been on a bit of a tear. 11-1 last night in Cleveland over the Guardians. 8 for 14 with runners in scoring position. A season high for hits. They're starting to play some baseball, and boy, just in time, because you don't want to hit the month of May still sucking. I'll give you a couple weeks, but you got to turn that thing around at some point, so it looks like they've done just that. Want to give a shout out to our friends in Now Then, Minnesota.
Now then.
Blackadder.
Did you catch that?
That's it. Stephen Fry. A Blackadder goes forth reference for 6 people out there who know what the hell that is. Now then, we're happy to have you with us.
I giggle when I hear and when I see Now Then. I live in Albertville. We get to Elk River quite frequently.
Yeah.
First time I saw Now Then on a sign, I'm like, that really exists.
That's it, man. Good
great.
People out there. Blackadder fans, all of them, I'm going to assume.
Gotta be.
Science. Let's talk about those pesky scientists. They've determined that 20% of us, 1 of every 5 of us, is the luckiest sumbitch I've ever heard of.
Gorman in the morning. Coming right back. 92 KQRS. Streaming from 92KQRS.com. Gorman in the morning is back. 92 KQRS.
Yes, I cannot believe what I'm about to say. Apparently, 1 in 5 of us, 20% of all the people you know, do not suffer from hangovers. Their bodies do not let them do that.
Are you saying 1 in 5 of the people I know are in their 20s?
Yeah, you would think.
Okay.
This is not age-related.
Really?
There are an incredible amount. I would have said 1% of people had this superpower, as I would call it. 20% apparently do not suffer hangovers. I'm not one of those 20%, by the way. And I'm thankful for that, because it's kept me from Well, torching my entire life. I suffered tremendously from hangovers, and even did as a young man. In my 20s, like put it this way, I've never been somebody who went out and just got pie-eyed, blasted, 3-4 nights in a row. My body wouldn't allow me to. I could go 2, get into that third, and then recognize, like, oh, wait, my body is, like, screaming at me, stop this.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be Irish, but I'm not Irish in a certain sense.
Right.
Whereas I knew plenty of people that could just go. I know one person that I will say I've never known them to be hungover. They've always laughed at everybody else who's, like, sideways the next day. So, yeah, I can only think of one person that I would say truly immune to hangovers. Of all the immunities, man, that's a hell of a one to have.
Yeah, that's not a bad. I mean, but like you said, is it though? Because you probably would have just drank yourself to death if you had this kind of immunity.
Yeah, there are up to 47 symptoms related to hangovers, and I will tell you right now, I've had all 47. Whatever anyone says is a hangover symptom, I've been there.
It lists as one of those 47. It stands out is hangxiety.
Big
that
time.
That thing is
me.
Real, man. Your pulse is surging, and you're just like, you're worried about for no reason whatsoever. It's crazy. I've experienced that too.
Sorry, what hangxiety?
Yeah.
What is hangxiety?
Hangxiety, man. It's like, well, to me, it's the emotional hangover. After you've been out, you've been going, you wake up, and then you're just left with a deep dissatisfaction in life, an ennui, anxiety, but on top of it with the hangover.
So you feel that the next day. You're not anxious that you're going to have a hangover.
No, I don't think so. That's not how I would have.
That's not how I'm interpreting it either.
No.
It's the day after, but also I get like I'll get my pulse racing, and I'm just kind of freaking out over nothing. And really, it's just you're sitting there and you feel like trash is really what it's about.
Yeah, alcoholic drinks, generally speaking, very sugary. They convert to sugar once they're in your system. Your blood sugar can drop. The body will then release stress hormones. I mean, there's a whole, scientists can look at this and explain it perfectly. There's also memory lapses that contribute to this, because then you're feeling bad physically, your sleep was terrible, and then you're like, wait a minute. I'm not really sure I remember exactly the last hour of the night. That's always a trigger for people to be like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I have come to. I have opened my eyes and had absolutely no idea where I was before. That's never fun.
You know what? I've had nights where I'm vomiting before I even get home. And I've never, I'm grateful I've never experienced the blackout sensation. Like, I remember every gritty, gnarly detail of the night, no matter how hammered I get.
I remember. I don't black out, but I'm saying when I'm first awake, I'm like, wait a minute, what in the hell? And I retrace and get it. But yeah, that's
people do have those blackouts where they don't remember what happened. And that's terrifying, man.
Yeah. Retracing those last steps. By the way, throwing up before you pass out, been doing that for years on purpose, because, man, that does help the intensity of the hangover.
Throwing up in the middle of the night, a puke and rally is pretty great.
Nothing worse than waking up after 6 hours of drunk sleep and then having to throw up. There's nothing worse.
You're talking about making it happen, though. I'm talking about it being forced upon me because I had way too much.
I've had 2 hangovers in my life that stand out. There are the big 2. One in 1987 and one in 2001. That I could never top. If I tried now, I think my body would not allow me to. But there's no need to go into details. But they both lasted like 2 full days.
Ooh, that's not good.
Just the worst things. I am happy to say that it doesn't take much at all for me to have a terrible night's sleep. If I drink 2 beers, my sleep will be interrupted that night. So
that's a bummer.
That really keeps me that pushes my drinking back earlier in the day. I'm more of an afternoon drinker nowadays than I ever used to be, because then I got to follow that up with a lot of water to get me to bed and help me get through the night.
Yeah, day drinking's all right. It works with your schedule.
It pretty much does. It absolutely very much does, I should say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this really quickly. Where'd you get married? My wife and I just ran away. We just got the hell out of there. We went to a very nice location, but there are some odd places. Every now and again, you see the people who get married while skydiving or while scuba diving.
Okay.
What about the Cannibal Corpse pit?
What?
Cannibal Corpse, not music for the faint of heart, if you will.
No,
very, very, very hardish
I
band,
think they would
if you
be
will.
classified as death metal.
Death metal.
Mr. Death Metal himself, Mr. Ryder, he said, your fun Cannibal Corpse fact of the day, they were in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yes, they were.
Oh, okay. It's all coming back to me now.
Yep.
So, what kind of people listen to death metal, you might ask yourself on occasion? Well, the answer for today is young lovers, because check this out. Cannibal Corpse played a gig in Pittsburgh the other day, and while performing the song Unleashing the Bloodthirsty...
I've always thought of that song as an underrated romantic song. You know what I mean?
Unleashing the Bloodthirsty, as it's happening on stage, Erica and Chris, a lovely young couple, were married in the mosh pit down in front. And it's heartwarming. Just take a listen to this as it goes down.
About all I can handle.
It's about it. Yeah. In the middle of that, literally, they exchanged vows, wedding dress, the whole thing. People in the mosh pit taking this all in. Erica, the bride on Facebook, wrote a huge thank you to everyone knowingly and unknowingly helping to make this happen. There is no community more united than the metal community. If you slam into the bride while she's giving her vows, is that cool?
Good or bad luck?
Is that good or bad protocol for the relationship? Because I don't have a lot of experience in mosh pits, but I do know that the one thing I'm not thinking about when I'm in one is exchanging vows.
I want to paint a picture here. This is a full-blown circle pit. So yes. I mean, think of like what a hurricane would look like on radar, how it's circling, right? And they were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
They had cameras, lights, the whole bit, the two of them. And so I think it was just like they left them alone. They did their thing, and that's the love and support that they were talking about.
I think they had their friends circling around them with their camera phones on, because you see a ton of phone flashlights there, and then the circle pit around that.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, I mean, Rosemary and I were married. We just went away and got married, very quiet, very small, and after we exchanged vows, Otis Redding's "These Arms of Mine," we had that song play, and we had a nice dance. A little different than Cannibal Corpse unleashing I've already forgotten the name of the Bloodthirsty. Come here, son. Let me tell you the story about when Meemaw and I got married.
Mm-hmm. I often use Unleash the Bloodthirsty as ASMR for relaxation and trying to fall asleep.
Your grandmother was the most beautiful bride I'd ever seen. And the band was playing. I got some of the singer's sweat in my mouth when I was putting the ring on her finger. That's a gorgeous family story to be told for years. What's the weirdest place you know of anybody getting married? I mean, come on. You might think someone's crazy if they said they got married at a Cannibal Corpse pit. But it happened in Pittsburgh. Cannibal Corpse, death metal band playing. Young couple gets married in the mosh pit during the gig.
Are the vows legit if you can't hear each other? Does it count?
Man, you know what? That's a good. We have to look up Pennsylvania law and see how that works.
I think if you've got a legal officiant, it still counts.
Maybe a legal officiant.
Officiant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it still counts. I'm an officiant, by the way.
Is that true?
Yeah, I've only done one, and I don't really have any interest in doing it again.
You performed a wedding.
I did.
You married somebody. Who?
I did. Just some friends of mine that asked out of the blue, and I was like,
really?
I'm like, what? Why me? Why me? And
wow.
I mean, what am I supposed to say? No? How do you say no to that?
You don't.
You don't.
Sure.
You get your whatever it is, license or whatever.
Did you like it? Did you feel good doing it?
Yeah, I felt good. I don't have an itch to do it again, but it felt good. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Was Cannibal Corpse playing at the time?
No, they weren't. No.
Missed opportunity.
Well, let me know when you are an officiant at a death metal wedding. That's when you're living. Tomorrow on this very show, check this out. Frank Caliendo coming in the studio.
Are you kidding me?
Oh,
that's gonna be fun.
We love Frank around here.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be in the 9 o'clock hour. Frank will join us in studio. Also, Jesse Pierce will be talking about this wild playoff series. Let's hope we're celebrating,
I know, right?
and not scrambling to justify.
Yeah.
Let's hope we're going into Game 6 with like some momentum and a series lead. Tonight, of course, they dropped the puck at 8:30 Central.
8:30 Central, yeah.
So we can all watch a little bit, if not the whole thing.
Yeah. Star-studded tomorrow, though. I mean, do we even need to show up? The show's going to take care of itself.
I imagine Frank could do both of our voices. Probably have trouble with Riders. So Ryder, you got to be here.
Oh, boy.
We should see if we can get him to get her down, within, while he's here. I bet he could.
Oh, he's pretty good like that.
He's the master.
Unbelievable.
As far as right now, however, on Gorman in the Morning, as we're signing off, we'll be handing the keys over. Basically, we're going to say, hey, Paul, you drive for a while.
Oof,
Yes.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, we want to do that. What's happening today?
Well, here's the deal. I've got a few songs figured out already. I got the Replacements, Temple of the Dog. It's just all about me right after 10 o'clock.
Sure.
But I've got some room for some spots. So talk and text line. Hit that thing up, 651-989-ROCK. Why don't you help me figure out today's playlist for 10 to 3?
Very good. I look forward to hearing what the folks come up with. This is Gorman in the Morning. We'll see you tomorrow on Minnesota's 92 KQRS.
Gorman in the Morning is also Gorman on the go. Get the 92 KQRS app and stream live or catch the Gorman in the Morning podcast anytime. 92 KQRS.